Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to study the basics of operating system with its introduction. So without wasting time, let us start it. As per the definition of a computer, it comprises of two components. First is the hardware and the second one is the software, right? And together they provide the capability for gathering data, performing computation, storing information, communicating with other computer systems, and so on. Now, hardware is regarded as the tangible or the physical part of the system, whereas we say that software is a collection of programs or documents which we actually install over our computer. So, in order to install any software on a computer system and use it, we actually require another software which actually acts as an intermediary between the user of a computer and the computer hardware. So, the operating system is nothing but that intermediary software, right? We have a hardware. That hardware is not useful for us until and unless we install an operating system on it, right? So the basic goals of an operating system is to execute user programs and make solving user problems easier. So a hardware is nothing but a box for us, and operating system is acting as an interface between user programs so that they can execute over a hardware. The second goal of the operating system is to make computer system convenient to use. It is very difficult to work on hardware, right? So you cannot work on hardware until and unless you make it easier with the help of an operating system. And the last one is we can use computer hardware in an efficient manner. Right. So what we have with us is a user whose intention is to work on a computer. Right. Now, without having any intermediary, right, or middle software between them, it is very difficult for the user to work on this computer. So what we actually did, we made an intermediary software which is known as the operating systems. Now, talking about the main objectives of the operating system, we have already seen the objectives in brief, but let us summarize it because this is a very important question as per the university examinations as well. So, the main objective of operating system is number one, to make the use of hardware, it make it convenient to use, right? So, how it makes it convenient? By providing us CUI, that is command lines. We can actually write commands which can do the reading or the writing operation or the calculation on our computer, right? Or it can provide us with the GUI. If we talk about the more sophisticated operating system like Windows, everything is in form of a graphical user interface. So it makes it easier to use. The next is efficiency, right? The main work of operating system is to manage the resources. What are the resources we have? We have the CPU, we have the memory, and we have the input output devices. So these are the resources. So if we do not have a manager, right, to manage all these resources, the working on a computer will take larger time. So here it also provides us with the efficiency. We can do more work in less time. And the last one is ability to evolve, right? So we are actually working on a software. Operating system is a software, right? So there is a scope for future enhancement and modification. Maybe we are doing something, right? We have written a program to manage the resources. Maybe after some time there may be another algorithm which can manage the resources more efficiently. So because it is easier to modify your softwares, we have a ability to evolve, right? We have an ability to accommodate more modifications in the near future. The next thing is, up till now we have seen what is operating system in a very brief manner, right? But let us study the basics of operating system with by understanding the basic structure or the abstract view of an computer system, right? So you can see over here that Operating system is a very essential part which is lying in between the computer hardware and the other application software. Right? So actually this hardware is not useful for us. It is useful only when we are having an operating system installed over it, so that we can interact the users, right? These user can interact with this hardware, right? So the first thing over here we have is the hardware. It provides the basic computing resources. For example, it consists of the IO devices, right? So it can have the IO devices, it can have the memory, it may have the CPU, right? So what is hardware? Hardware comprises of the resources, right? Then here comes the operating system. So first one is your computer hardware, and the second one is your operating system, which is very important. Now it controls and coordinate the use of hardware, right? So what it does, it actually control and coordinate this hardware, right? Why we need in order why we need to control this hardware? Because we want to run other system and application programs over our system, right? You understand this very well. You have your computer system, right? But you want to use your computer system in order to watch a movie, so you need to install the VLC media player, right? Now that VLC media player is an application program, right, which actually does a specific task of watching or streaming movies, right? Or you want to listen to you want to listen to a song, so you will be installing it because you want to listen to some music. You can install a text editor, right, because you want to write or save some documents, right? So all these are application programs. We are going to discuss this in a separate slide, right? So without having this operating system, it is very, very difficult for us to make other application programs run over this hardware, right? So it is facilitating the work of these particular, other softwares, right? And ultimately we will be having different users who will be, one want to listen to the music, one want to see the videos, one want to write a text editor, and so on. So user, in order to interact with computer hardware, require application programs, right? And these application programs, in order to run on your hardware, requires your operating systems, right? So that was the basic structure. Now let us understand what is an system and application program, right? So we have two types of softwares with us, right? First one is your system software, and the second one is your application software, right? Now system software are those programs which actually help us to interact with the hardware, right? So that is why operating system that we are studying over here is a type of a system software, right? So what are system software? System softwares are programs which are acting as an intermediary between user and the hardware. Whereas talking about the application programs, as I told you earlier, they are written to enable your computer to solve a specific processing task, right? Such as database management systems, such as word processing, or even your presentation softwares, right? Now, the next thing, which is also very, very important, is the functions of your operating system, right? This is an important question even in the interviews as well as in the university examination. So the first thing is, in order to understand what are the functions of operating systems, we need to know what happens if operating system was not there with us. We are saying it is acting as an intermediary between your hardware and us and your user, right? Suppose we do not have an operating system, then what would have been the scenario, right? So again we will be having a user, and again we will be having a computer. This user want to interact with the computer, right? So we suppose this particular user want to write a document, right? Want to write a document, or want to write something in Microsoft Word and save it in its memory, right? So it's a basic task of writing something and saving it. Now then the user have to tell the computer hardware to open a file, right? Suppose OS was not there, then we have to write certain commands to open a new file, right? So the things will not be as easier as a click, right? So first you have to tell the computer open up a file, then command the hardware to activate the input, right? Input devices. In order to write something, we need an input device, that is keyboard, right? If operating system was not there, then the next command will be given to the hardware that please activate the input device so that we can type, right? After that, we will be activating the output device, that is your monitor, so that we can see what we have written on that document. So another command we have to give. After that, we have to save it into the memory. Again, one command we have to give, right? So in order, with each interaction with your computer system, you have to give a separate command, right? So you will be writing the document is one thing, but in order to write, you have to give 10 more commands to it, right? Now of course this is very cumbersome because we have to write machine code and commands, right, for this particular thing, and that is very, very difficult and hard to remember, and of course it will also take a lot of time, right? So here is the need of operating system which arises. Now those intermediary commands, to activate the input and the output systems and so on, will be taken care by your operating system, right? So you have the user, you have the computer, right? But now the operating system will manage all the back-end process, right? And the user will only be concerned with his work, right? That is writing the document. So what functions that operating system is going to do is, it will be acting as the interface. Remember, this is very important thing, right? And the memory management, how we will be storing that document. Process management, how we will be actually writing that particular thing, that will be taking as a process in the backend, that will be taken care by your operating system. Suppose you are working on file, so how those files will be stored, that will be taken care by the operating system. Suppose you required an input output device, that is device management, that will be again taken care by the operating system. Job accounting, how many processes are right now working on your operating system, right, on your system, the background processes or the foreground processes, everything will be taken care by the operating system. The security, right, the firewall system, the password protection, the fingerprinting protection, that is also coming in the latest laptops and palm tops, right? That will be the work of operating system. Networking, if you want to connect your system to any network or a local area network or to internet, that will be taken care by operating system. Storage management, suppose you have some secondary storage also, that will also be managed by the operating system. And we have also seen the device management, so IO management is somewhat related to that only, right? So these were the basic functions of operating systems, which are very important, and you have to also understand them in detail for your examination, right? Now, operating systems that are prevalent in market, which are available, are Apple, that is Mac OS. We have iOS, we have Android for your mobile systems. We have Linux. We have a big family of Linux. Ubuntu is one of that particular family. And of course, we are very much familiar with Windows, right? So these are the examples of operating system, but we also have some different types of operating system which we are going to study in detail in the upcoming videos. So here I shall only be discussing the name of the operating system. So these are certain types of operating system that we need to study in details in the upcoming videos. So we have batch operating system, real-time, multi-programming, time-sharing, multi and single user, multitasking, multiprocessor, distributed and networking operating systems, and embedded systems. So all these are types of operating system. Do not get confused with the previous slide. These are the examples of operating system, that is operating systems which we can actually purchase for our hardware. These are the companies which are giving us the operating system. So we have Microsoft Windows, right? So this is an operating system which is a GUI based operating system, right? And this operating system may have the properties of these types of operating system. So these are the types of operating system, means how the internal structure and the working of the operating system is concerned. That is given by these one, and these are the names of the operating system, right? So that was a brief video on the introduction of operating system, and I hope that you understand the definition, the goals, functions, and the exact requirement of operating systems for our hardware. Thank you so much for watching this lecture, and I shall be seeing you in the next lecture.